Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm gonna do a tribute, man. This is a birthday tribute for the late, great David Bowie. And I have had just a couple of reactions on the channel for David Bowie. Not as many as I certainly would like to do. I really got to get to know the man more better. But yeah, David has always been very present ever since I started my channel. He's threatened the top 5 for Artist of the Month 6 times. And he's also popped up when I did a reaction for Iggy Pop and various other artists who he's collaborated with or influenced. So his presence has always been kind of there in a sense. But yeah, man, this is a great opportunity for me to get to know more about him and his music. So I'm really thankful for that. So what I'm going to do here, man, with this birthday tribute is it's going to be featuring a quad. And so in this order, we're going to check out Cygnet Committee, followed by Song for Bob Dylan, followed by Time, and then finally Hang On to Yourself. And I just want to give a shout out and a thanks very much to Amy Brooks. Amy, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you sending me the recommendation. Yeah, Amy was really good with this, man. She sent me not only the links for the songs themselves, but also the Wikipedia links. So that really helps. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. And what I'm going to do here too is I'm just going to read a short note that Amy sent me. Actually, I sent her a note first. So I said, hi, Amy, since you brought up Bowie's birthday, you should recommend a quad for it. Send me some links. Peace. So that was my note to her. And then Amy replied saying, happy to oblige. Smiley face. Thank you very much, Wayne. Happy New Year. And I chose songs from the albums David Bowie Space Oddity, Hunky Dory, Aladdin Sane, and Ziggy Stardust, the 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th studio albums respectively. I wanted to give a range of songs from his earlier period that are not too obvious, but also not too obscure. Also songs that I thought you might particularly be interested by. Hope you enjoy. Amy. Awesome. I know I'm going to enjoy it. Awesome, man. So let's start with our first, man. That being Cygnet Committee. Cygnet Committee. Bowie Cygnet Committee. Let's get it. Some serious makeup, man.
I bless you madly, sadly as I tie my shoes. I love you badly. Just in time, at times I guess. Because of you, I need to rest. Because it's you that sets the test. So much has gone and little is new. The sparrow sings dawn chorus for someone else to hear. The thinker sits alone, growing old. gave them life, I gave them all. They drained my very soul dry. I crushed my heart to ease their pains. No thought for me remains there. Nothing can they spare. What of me, who praise their efforts to be free? Words of strength and care and sympathy. I opened doors that would have blocked their way. I braved their cause to guide for little pay. I'd rather cut my finance just for those whose claims were steeped in peace, tranquility. Those who said a new world, new ways ever free. Those whose promises stretched in hope and grace for me. As I tie my shoes, I love you badly, just in time at times, I guess. Because of you, I need to rest. Oh yeah. Because it's you that sets the test. So much has gone and little is new. And as the sunrise stream flickers on me, my friends talk of the glory untold dream where all is gone. A friend, a talking man, who spoke of many powers he had. Not of the best of men, but ours. We used him, we let him use his powers. We let him fill our needs, now we are strong. And the road is coming to its end. Now the damned have no time to make amends. No purse of token fortune stands in our way. The silent guns of love will blast the sky. We broke the ruptured structure built of age. Our weapons were the tongues of crying rage. Where money stood, we planted seeds of rebirth and stabbed the backs of fathers, sons of dirt. Infiltrated business cesspools hating through our sleeves. Yeah, we slit the Catholic throat, stole a forum, slogans such as wish you could hear. Love is all we need. Kick out the germs, kick out your mother, cut up your friend, screw up your brother, or he'll get you in the end.
Wow. That tripped me the hell right out, man. Holy cow. What a song. Man, I'm only going to say one thing. I'm only going to say one thing about this song. I have said a number of times on this channel, and I know that I've been blasted for it a number of times, even from friends. But one of my biggest motivating reasons for starting a reaction channel was I knew that I was going to be wading into an environment where I was going to get exposed to a lot of social, political statements. Obviously, this song is about fighting for the freedom of expression and free speech and all of those things. The platform of rock and roll really allows you to just go deep within and express yourself a lot more. It gives you the ability to say a lot more. This song is the perfect example of that. It encapsulates that sentiment perfectly. And I don't want to be closed-minded, but I have yet to encounter anybody to persuade me otherwise. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule, different genres, and I've given examples of those before, but I am more convinced after hearing a song like this. The platform of rock and roll, the platform of classic rock, just allows you to say so much more. When you have something strong to say, whether it's religious issues, political, social, environmental, whatever it is, something on a very, very serious level, I would choose the platform of rock and roll, classic rock, to render my sentiment, my argument, my outreach effort, whatever it is that I'm trying to say. Yo, man. This song had me from the very, very beginning. The first verse had me, and I was just in it. I was on a trip somewhere. I gotta listen to this over and over again. And I can't be driving when I'm listening to it because my mind was just going. But hey, man, David Bowie. Yeah, so David would have been 73, I believe. Wow. I remember when I heard of his passing, where I was, what I was doing, and I was in a mall walking around, and I was kind of hearing about him, and I guess there were two DJs talking about him and some of the great things he's accomplished. And one of the things that I heard that really made my ears perk up was when he had his moment, and it was a little too much, and he had to take that break. So he took off to East Germany with his friend Iggy Pop, and they settled in, cleaned themselves up, and then he came back, and then he had that great rebirth in the 80s. But while he was over there and then cleaning himself up, I guess he did a lot of really good ambassadorship work, and he was very instrumental in helping with the efforts of relations between East and West Germany. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was such an ambassador. And so there's a lot of things about David Bowie definitely that I've got to learn and familiarize myself with. But yeah, his passing, even though, you know, at that time I wasn't so much embracing rock, I was still in my R&B phase. You know, when somebody notable like him passes, you feel it, and I felt it. I felt a great amount of sadness when he passed, because not only do I not like him personally, but also I know how much he means to a number of people, and I felt it. It was like a great wave, and I connected to that wave of sadness that was going forth. Yeah, so that stunned me for a while. I stopped dead in my tracks when I heard that he'd actually passed. It didn't connect to me when I was listening to these DJs talking about him in general. And then when they kind of gave the dates, then I realized, oh wow, he's passed. I didn't even know he was sick. I didn't know all the details about it. And yeah, it was a really hard punch in the gut when I heard about that. Anyway, listen, man, this is a quad. And these songs are lengthy. So I don't want to stretch this out too long and go off of my structure. So let me first do a quick little intro of the man, just a quick one, and then I'll do a little read on this song here, man, and we'll move it along so I don't get caught up and go off. All right, so David Bowie. David Robert Jones, 8th of January 1947 to the 10th of January 2016. The 10th of January. Okay, I thought that it was the 8th of January. Amy, let's get those dates correct. Is it the 10th or is it the 8th? All the same, it doesn't matter. We're celebrating his birthday and his life anyway. Known professionally as David Bowie, was an English singer, songwriter, and actor. He was a leading figure in the music industry and is considered one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century, acclaimed by critics and musicians, particularly for his innovative work during the 1970s. His career was marked by reinvention and visual presentation, with his music and stagecraft having a significant impact. During his lifetime, his record sales estimated at 140 million albums worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists in history. All right, so that's a little look at the man, and let's check out this great song, man. Cygnet Committee. Cygnet Committee is a song written by David Bowie and recorded in '69 for his second eponymous album, released in the US as Man of Words, Man of Music, and re-released in '72 as Space Oddity. At over 9 minutes, this ambitious progressive folk rock song was Bowie's longest studio recording until the opening title track of 1976's Station to Station. Lyrical background. Cygnet Committee developed from an earlier composition of Bowie's that had been written in the style of Simon and Garfunkel called Lover to the Dawn. In early '69, Bowie recorded an acid demo of the song as a duet with John Hutchison. Lover to the Dawn was intended as material to Bowie's soon-defunct folk combo, Feathers, which also included Hermione Farthingale, his girlfriend at the time. On Bowie's '69 album, Farthingale was to become the subject of 2 other songs, Letter to Hermione and An Occasional Dream, mourning the end of their relationship. During '69, Bowie and his new girlfriend Angela Barnett lived in Beckingham, where they ran the Arts Lab, trying to encourage young people to be creative. However, Bowie soon quit the Arts Lab when he realized that more people were coming just to see him perform and not to participate. His disappointing encounters with the hippies during this time is the basis for the song, as he felt he was used and abused by the teens. Quote, "I gave them my life. They drained my very soul." Unquote. Okay, and here's a little plot outline. As with many of Bowie's works, the song is a dystopian narrative. One strand of the story concerns a man who helped revolutionaries establish a new order by opening doors that would have blocked their way and ravaging at my finance. The revolutionaries let him use his powers so they could infiltrate business cesspools, hating through our sleeves. But now they are strong, while the man sits along growing older, having been forgotten by those he helped. The other strand of the story described the post-revolutionary world, revealing that it's not the utopia that had been hoped for. The mottos of the new state are, "I will kill for the good of the fight for the right to be right, and we can force you to be free." Near the end of the song, the narrator describes what has become of the revolution. A love machine lumbers through desolation rows, plowing down man, woman, listening to its command, but not hearing anymore. Man, I gotta go back and listen to this song a number of times. It just took me. But anyway, let's leave it there, man. Let's bounce to our second track, and that being Song for Bob Dylan. Song for Bob Dylan. Let's get it.
Zimmerman, I wrote a song for you about a strange young man called Dylan with a voice like sand and glue. Some words had truthful vengeance that could pin us to the floor. Brought a few more people on and put the fear in a whole lot more. Ah, here she comes, here she comes. Here she comes again. The same old crazy lady from the brow of the super brain. She'll scratch this world to pieces as she comes on like a friend. Couple of songs from your old scrapbook could send her home again. Gave your heart to every bedsit room, at least a picture on the wall. Million pair of eyes and told them how they saw. Then we lost the train of thought. Your paintings are all your own. While troubles are rising, we'd rather be scared together than alone. Oh, here she comes, here she comes, here she comes again. Same old crazy lady, super brain. She'll scratch this world to pieces as she comes on like a friend. But a couple of songs from your old scrapbook could send her home again. Zimmerman, though I don't suppose we'll meet. Ask your good friend Dylan if it is a while down the old street. Tell him we lost his poems, so we're writing on the walls. Give us back our unity, give us back our family. You're every nation's refugee. Here she comes again. The same old painted lady from the brow of the super brain. She'll scratch this world to pieces and she comes on like a friend. But a couple of songs from your old scrapbook could send her home again. Ah, a couple of songs from your old scrapbook could send her home again. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes.
Wow. Excellent tune. Excellent tune. Right off the top, I'm just gonna let you guys know. Remember it would have been about 3-4 months ago, I did a back-to-back with Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix. It was probably closer to 5 or 6 months ago now that I think about it. Anyway, I did a back-to-back, Jimi Hendrix, and a number of people in the comment sections were asking, hey man, surely Bob Dylan has threatened Artist of the Month, and surely you definitely want to consider doing a Bob Dylan reaction, if not, Artist of the Month. And I remember my reply being, well, I put that in the hands of the patrons. It's the patrons that recommend who the Artist of the Month is, and I just add it up, and then I come up with the person who is going to be Artist of the Month. It's that easy. And some people were really demanding, hey, if you're doing a classic rock channel, if you're doing anything that has to do with the establishment of popular music and this and this and this, you absolutely must have a Bob Dylan month, and I want it now, I demand it, that sort of thing. So I had the impression going into this already when I started Artist of the Month, how important the Artist of the Month feature was going to be, just from that exchange, and how important a Bob Dylan Artist of the Month would be. So I know that Bob Dylan was born in May. So I am going to make May Bob Dylan month. We're not even going to have a vote. We're not even going to have a recommendations. He is one of those household names in popular music, influencing everything from folk to classic rock, everything. So he is one of those icons in music that is just going to hands down have his own month. So that's his month, right? Bob Dylan month, Artist of the Month is May. Just letting you know right now. So, but the biggest question is, he's got an extensive catalog, and I'm not going to be able to go through it. Now, this is specifically strictly for patrons, all right? You are going to decide my fate. And I know that we've had this discussion about following chronology. Do you recommend that I do that with Bob Dylan as well? I'm sure there shouldn't be. A lot of you will say there should never be any exceptions to any rule. Follow the chronology no matter what. Well, it's like comparing Bob Dylan to the Rolling Stones. I could follow the Rolling Stones chronology, but I know that in doing so, I might not hit their prime years. And sorry, I forgot what those prime years were with those albums. I know there's 4 albums. So many of you have already told me this, but I can't bring it up to memory. So sometimes you gotta question, is following a chronology the right way to approach reactions for certain artists? So let me leave that with you, patrons. This is your thing. You tell me how I should approach Bob Dylan month for the month of May. Follow a chronology or mix it up, whatever the case is. And I just want to read every single one of your reasons and your recommendations, because I know that this is going to be it's a serious question, and I'm going to get a lot of responses. But please do not attack each other. Don't piss at each other, right? So let me know how to approach Bob Dylan month. Okay, so that's Bob Dylan. Let's go straight back to David Bowie and do a little read on the song for Bob Dylan. Song for Bob Dylan is a song written by David Bowie for his 1971 album Hunky Dory. The song references Bob Dylan's '62 homage to Woody Guthrie, Song to Woody. Yet while Dylan opens with "Hey, hey, Woody Guthrie, I wrote you a song," Bowie addresses Dylan by his birth name, saying, "Now, hear this, Robert Zimmerman, I wrote a song for you." In the song, Bowie also describes Bob Dylan's voice like sand and glue. which is similar to how Joyce Carol Oates described it upon first hearing Dylan. Quote, "When we first heard this raw, very young, and seemingly untrained voice, frankly nasal, as if sandpaper could sing, the effect was dramatic and electrifying." Unquote. I bet. Yeah, what would be your experience? Do you remember your experience hearing Bob Dylan for the first time? What did you think? If you can remember that, let me know, okay? Because you know what? I remember hearing Geddy Lee of Rush for the first time. It was Working Man, and yo, man, my mind was like, holy cow, what a different sounding voice. So, did you have a response or a reaction like that? Let me know what your reaction was when you heard Bob Dylan for the first time. That would be really interesting. All right, history and recording. Bowie premiered Song for Bob Dylan on the 3rd of June 1971 during a BBC concert session with George Underwood. During the broadcast, Bowie introduced the song as Song for Bob Dylan, Here She Comes. When asked about the song at the time of Hunky Dory's release, Bowie said, "This is House MC BD." Bowie later revealed his true intention for writing the song in a 1976 Melody Maker interview, saying, "There's even a song for Bob Dylan, that laid out what I wanted to do in rock. It was at that period that I said, okay, Dylan, if you don't want to do it, I will." I saw that leadership void. Even though the song isn't one of the most important on the album, it represented for me what the album was all about. If there wasn't someone who was going to use rock and roll, then I'd do it. Unquote. All right. You talk about Bob Dylan being a major inspiration for a major star who's a great inspiration. Fantastic. That's how it rolls, man. All right, so let's leave it there and let's go to our third track, that being Time. This is a great look at David Bowie, I gotta say. All right, Time, David Bowie. Let's get it.
Time, he's waiting in the wings. He speaks of senseless things. His script is you and me. Boy, time, he flexes like a whore, falls wanking to the floor. His trick is you and me. Boy, time, in quaaludes and red wine, demanding Billy dolls and other friends of mine. Take your time. The sniper in the brain, regurgitating drain, incestuous and vain, and many other last names. Oh, look on my watch, it says 9:25, and I think, oh God, I'm still alive. It should be on by now.
The sniper in your brain.
It should be on by now. You are not a victim. You just scream with boredom. You are not evicting time. was hateful. I had so many dreams. I had so many breakthroughs, but you, my love, were kind. But love has left you dreamless. The door to dreams was closed. Your park was real and dreamless. Perhaps you're smiling now, smiling through this darkness. But all I have to give is guilt for dreaming. We should be on by now. 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 Yes, time.
That was very enjoyable. Listening to someone else's interpretation of how time affects an individual. The sniper in your brain, man. Yeah, this guy, man. See, the thing about David Bowie for me is when you say David Bowie, I now, after a year of doing this channel and whatnot, when you said David Bowie to me a year ago, I would have been thinking of the David Bowie of the 80s, growing up in the 80s. And that was my exposure to him. I remember when, I was sitting there watching MTV videos, Friday night videos, and then his music video came on. And it was a really big deal. Everyone was making a big deal of his comeback. That's all I kept hearing, his grand comeback. And I believe that the first song he did was Modern Love. And then, the videos followed China Girl and Let's Dance. And so that's the David Bowie I knew from the 80s. But now, after having done this channel a year later, now I realize that there's a David Bowie of the 70s, the classic era of the 70s. And that's the David Bowie that I'm really, really intrigued to get to know. So yeah, I think that way of Aerosmith as well. I remember Eddie Money. I did an Eddie Money reaction, and I was aware of the Eddie Money 80s stuff, but I didn't know that he had done stuff in the 70s. I didn't know that he went back that far. So he did Baby Hold On, and he did 2 Tickets to Paradise. Didn't know those were Eddie Money songs. And so I was a little surprised when I did the reaction that, these songs go all the way back to the 70s. So with David Bowie, I really want to get to know the stuff that he did in the 70s. And that's the David Bowie that I want to know. That's the David Bowie that I don't know much about. And so if he ever becomes Artist of the Month, that's what I'm going to probably be focusing on. I don't know how many albums he's done, but I imagine there's enough material there basically to fill up the whole month of reactions. And it's not to say that I won't cover any 80s stuff, but I'm familiar with, at least his hits in the 80s. So we'll see how that goes. I'm jumping the gun here, just assuming he's going to be artist of the month sometime soon. But usually it follows a pattern, I notice. When there's a number of reactions prior to, sometimes that artist then ends up being artist of the month. Kind of like with Aerosmith. Townspeople sent me a couple of quads, and then 2 months later, Aerosmith was artist of the month. Same with the Allman Brothers. And you know who's been threatening artist of the month a lot in the last 5 months? Paul Rogers. I did a quad reaction, I believe it was to Free, and I can't remember whose quad it is. I'm sorry, patron, whoever you are. And ever since, he has been threatening artist of the month, I believe, like the last 4 months in a row. So it's like that. Jimi Hendrix, same thing. So I'm just running on assumptions here, and I could be wrong, because I expected the Allman Brothers to make artist of the month within the first month or so of starting the artist of the month thing, which was back in October. But it took almost a year for them. So, you know, I don't want to go assuming. Anyway, I'm going off again. Let's get back to structure, man. So back to this great song. This was excellent, man. Just listening to him go through his ideas about time. That was very, very enjoyable. So let's do a little read, man. Get some background on this great song. Time by David Bowie. Time is a song by David Bowie, written in New Orleans in November of '72 during the American leg of the Ziggy Stardust tour. It was recorded in London, January '73, and released as the opening track in side 2 of the album Aladdin Sane that April. In addition, an edited version of the song supplanted the release of the single Drive In Saturday in the US and Japan. Production and style. The piece has been described as burlesque vamp and compared to the cabaret music of Jacques Brel and Bertolt Brecht / Kurt Weill. Keyboardist Mike Garson said that he employed the old style piano style from the 20s, and I mixed it up with avant-garde jazz styles, plus it had the element of show music, plus it was very European. The song's best-known couplet is Time. He flexes like a whore, falls wanking to the floor. RCA allowed it to remain in the US single edit, being unfamiliar with the meaning of the British term wanking. However, when Bowie came to perform the song on the US television special, the 1980 Floor Show in August of '73, he slurred the line in such a way as to render it to read, falls swanking to the floor. Conversely, RCA cut the line in Quaaludes and Red Wine from the single, while Bowie retained it for the 1980 Floor Show. The phrase Billy Dolls refers to Billy Murcia, Murcia, late drummer for the New York Dolls. Yeah, let's skip all of this info in the middle, man. Song structure and how it's structured. I don't know anything about music structure. Reception. Like its parent album, Time has divided critical opinion. NME critics Roy Carr and Charles Shar Murray have described the songs as sounding strained and incomplete, concluding that with such a weak lyric, the overly melodramatic music sounds faintly absurd. Okay, so that confirms to me that being a music critic, you were actually a successful musician. So being a critic, a prereq to being a critic is that you've had to have had a successful recording career. That makes you, that qualifies you as a good critic. Got it. Biographer David Buckley calls the feature-length version 5 minutes of wired perfection and the lyrics poetic and succinct. Okay. All right, two serious contrasts there, but critics, they know what they're talking about. So, all right, man. So that is Wikipedia song fact info on Time. So let's bounce to our final track, man. That being Hang On to Yourself. All right. Bowie, Hang On to Yourself. Let's get it. Bouncy right away.
She's a tongue-twisting song. Come to the show tonight. Bring to the light machine. She wants my hand and all my money. She's a bucket bar collector. Her baby knows electric dreams. But come on. We really got a good thing going. But come on. If you think we're gonna make it, better hang on to yourself. We can't dance, we don't talk much, we just ball and play. But then we move like badgers on Vaseline. Well, the beat comes up later on a stolen guitar. You're the blessed with the spiders from Mars.
Move like tigers on the Vaseline.
Come on, we really got a good thing going. Come on. If you think we're gonna make it, you better hang on to yourself. Come on. Oh! Come on. We really got a good thing going. Come on. If you think we're gonna make it, you better hang on to yourself. Come on. We really got a good thing going. Come on. If you think we're gonna make it, you better hang on to yourself.
It's got that Friday punk jam to it. This is a song that his buddy Iggy Pop would sing, I'm sure. That was cool. Very bouncy. Short and sweet as well. Nice. I imagine that this probably had quite a splash when it first came out. Don't know it, I'm not familiar, but I could see this being very, very popular with the kids. How was it? Let me know. Well, we'll do a quick read and we'll find out how the reception was, I imagine. So, let's, okay, I spoke too soon, man. Wikipedia doesn't have, like, background info of this song. It's got, it's got a super short paragraph. Let's read that first. Hang On to Yourself is a song written by David Bowie in '71. And released as a single with his band Arnold Corns. A re-recorded version was released on the album The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. The main riff is representative of glam rock's influence as a bridge between 1950s rock and roll, specifically rockabilly, and the punk to come. It draws on rockabilly influences such as Eddie Cochran, in a way that would influence punk records such as Teenage Lobotomy by Ramones. Okay, and so that's all the info really given about Hang On to Yourself. What's following is just a lot of, there's an Arnold Corns version without Bowie, and then Yeah, so it's just got a lot of track information, release dates, breaking down the musicians, and so trivial information of that sort, but no real backstory in a sense. And then other release dates and live versions and things of that sort. So we'll just skip through all that. Hope you don't mind, Amy. Yeah, there's no backstory to the song, really. When I say backstory, I always refer to what he was doing at the time, what influenced the song, the creative process behind it, influences, turbulence to try and get it to us, challenges, things of that sort. You know, the story behind the song. But yeah, so this is just factual, trivial information here, dates and this sort of thing. We don't need that. So yeah, so that's the quad, man. This is a great quad, Amy. Really, really well put together, man. Excellent songs. I enjoyed all of them. Overall, it gives you a really, really good look and feel for his range, his creativity. Wherever he looks, whatever direction he looks in, he can go there. You know, very, very few artists have that ability. And so, yo, man, David Bowie, there's just so much about the guy, so much depth and allure. And like I said, I've got to get to know his 70s stuff. One of my first ever exposures to him, funny enough, was sitting watching Soul Train with my mom. You've probably seen the David Bowie Christmas special, and he was performing 2 tracks in Soul Train, and it was a really, really big deal. My mom was just over the moon, all giddy and everything, and she's like, son, you have no idea what this means, you know. It's great to have a white guest on Soul Train. It builds bridges. It's, you know, she just kept going on and on about it. And so that was my first exposure to him, and you know, how he was talking with everyone and smiling, and he was just getting down and jamming, and it was really, really cool. So where it comes to his overall appeal and his far-reaching fan base, it crosses genres, it crosses races and fences and all of that. And so it was really, really cool. And so when I went to school, a lot of my friends, a lot of my black friends, older friends, they're, oh, did you see Soul Train? Did you see Soul Train? Bowie was on Soul Train. And yeah, so it was a really, really big deal. I remember in my young mind, I was like, yo, I got to pay attention to what this guy does and what happens with him later on in life, that sort of thing. So he's always been one of those influences in my growing up. Yes, okay, I was raised on R&B, but some artists have that ability to cross over and influence you all the same. You know, lots of these household classic rock artists, they've just been a part of my growing up. You know, if you say to me Elton John, yeah, I know who Elton John is. I know some of his music, and I know what he means to the industry. David Bowie, same thing, you know. And someone as remote as Johnny Cash, who is more on the countryside, I know the importance of who Johnny Cash is, why he's important, why he's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So it isn't a sense of just sticking to one genre. Sorry, I'm going off again. I always have this argument with certain people. And one of my biggest motivations for starting my classic rock channel and having this experience is to take in more, but not just from my point of view of being raised on R&B, but I want to see it from your point of view. I think you more so grew up with classic rock, and so I want to see it kind of like from your eyes looking out. It's a really, really interesting perspective, and it's really, really intriguing. And so when I read your comments, I see things from your point of view that I wouldn't have thought myself. So it's really, really interesting to read all of the comments and read the background. And when you guys give me your breakdown of how things were, it's really cool, because most of the time I don't get it from Wikipedia. These insights, Wikipedia doesn't give you insights and perspective. It only gives you facts and information. And it's what I was counting on, though, when I started my channel. Without the feedback, because I've always said that I'd say 75% of my learning curve doesn't come from Wikipedia. It doesn't come from me just reading on my own, doing my own. It comes from being fed perspective by the patrons and subscribers. And without that, I would have probably discontinued the channel if that didn't kick in. And man, did it ever kick in, though. I visualized myself at about 10,000 subscribers over, I don't know, 3 years, I was estimating. And within 6 months, I think I was just shy of 20,000 subscribers. So the amount of learning and stuff like that has just been expedited. So yeah, I want to give you guys a shout out and a thanks very much for sharing with me. And where patrons are concerned, you guys on the Patreon platform, you can write me long notes. I mean, you're not limited to how much and how lengthy your note is. So don't ever think that you have to scout down what you wrote. Well, don't write me a damn book, but a decent amount of a body of writing is fine on the Patreon platform. If we're on YouTube or on Vimeo, then yeah, restrict it to a decent paragraph in respect to other folks. But on the Patreon platform, as a patron, you can write me. You can make it lengthy and just finish your thought. You know what I mean? Because I take it all in. So keep feeding me all of that. That's great. All right, man. So let me just scroll down here and just check my notes here real quick. As I said, the big note that I left for myself is that in regards to Bob Dylan, it's going to be Bob Dylan's month in May. And just get back to me in regards how you want me to approach doing reactions to Bob Dylan. That'd be much appreciated. And if there's any more significant songs from David Bowie, in a sense, that you might want me to listen to, do a reaction for, let me know. I have this pattern of trying to kind of space out my reactions to a certain artist, because when it comes time for them to make Artist of the Month, I want to have some material to look into. But all the same, if there is something that you think that I should definitely check out, let me know, and I'll definitely do that, man. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this David Bowie quad. A great celebration of his life, man. He's an accomplished artist, and still to this day, I miss the guy very much, even though I'm not as familiar with him as many of you might be. Still, I know that his contributions to modern music and classic rock and everything was very, very impactful. And still I still hear about David Bowie pretty much on a daily basis. I'd be reading comments or something and his name will come up. So yeah, he's still ever present with us for sure, man. And yeah, what a great loss. He would have been 73 today and probably still performing, if he was healthy. And yeah, 73 is still pretty young in this day and age, if you're not sick or anything like that. So what else was I gonna say? There was something else. Sorry, let me just check. Oh yeah, sorry. Before I go, I had already cut my third album reaction. That's of CCR, the Artist of the Month. So I did that yesterday, being Tuesday, but I'm going to be publishing it either today or tomorrow. So I know that I'm going to be saying it's Tuesday when it's actually now Wednesday or Thursday. So just forgive me for that. I was just late trying to get it edited and uploaded. So that's my note. Anyways, thanks for joining me, man. Looking forward to doing more Artist of the Month CCR reactions. So until then, take care, and I'll see you in my next reaction. Peace.